you know that a young boy drowned the year before those two others were killed? The counselors weren't paying any attention. They were making love while that young boy drowned.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to BioS 3 Raw TV. So tonight we're going to talk about something a little bit different, and that is getting caught up in the I'm going to, first of all, let's fix that fucking camera. I'm going to make this shit square. The whole I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that. So let me kind of preempt this with, I had to learn the hard way. So a lot of the things that I give you guys, the tips, the tricks, there really are no tips and tricks, but basically the advice that I give you guys, which is usually unsolicited because you guys didn't ask about this one, but I figured I'd throw it out there because not many people are talking about it. So I was going through Instagram, and that's what spawned this idea for this video. And I watched an individual who, he put a picture up like a year apart of his legs, and he said, "Oh, this is what I did in 10 months." And then he explained why his legs look so small in one picture, and I had dieted a bunch of mass off with this one, and and then I put the mass back on. Now it's time to keep the mass, and I'm like, okay, this is the whole I'm going to right here. When people say stuff like, well, now I'm going to keep the mass. Well, here's the problem. I looked at the photos with all this new added mass. There's a lot of fat added to his legs too. So it's not muscle. Now, he thinks he lost a lot of mass with his legs. I'm willing to bet he's just fatter than he thinks he is. And a lot of people don't realize that. They just think that they're leaner than they are. Everybody, for some reason, in the last 10 years is fucking 12% body fat. They're like fat as fuck, no abs, like fucking muffin tops, and they're like, oh, 12%. Everybody thinks they're 12%. No, listen, 12% you have veins in your abs and shit. 15% you still have fucking abs. Some people at 20% you still have abs. But you're not, no, the whole body fat thing is just fucking stupid. But most people think they're leaner than they really are. They're not really honest with themselves. And I was one of those people. I get it, guys. I was one of them. You know what I mean? Right off the bat. I'm not calling anybody out because I was like that. And he said, well, now to keep it moving forward, I'm gonna, I'm gonna do this and that so that I'm better next time. And I was like, fuck. Here's the deal. When I'm gonna, right? I remember said, I'm gonna put on 20 pounds of muscle this year. I'm gonna diet down and be a super heavyweight. I'm gonna do this. You know how many of those things fucking came through? None of them, okay? I mean, very few of them. All the things I said I was going to do, because you're in your mind, you're trying to project what you want to do. But by you telling people what you're going to do, it's this projection of, I'm going to be better because I know I suck now. That's what it really is. When people really see how they really look or what they've accomplished, they're like, fuck, it sucks. They're like, I can't wait to be better next time. They always, it's the way they word it. You understand that they're saying basically, look, I know I suck, but I'm going to be better next time. Well, I'm gonna sometimes never fucking happens. So let me explain. A lot of people have this grand plan of being better from show to show. And the world would be a great place if things worked out the way that we put them on paper, but that's not how it always works. So you do your best to be there and show up and you're better than you were before, but there are years you're gonna go fucking backwards. That's all there is to it. If you do this sport long enough, bodybuilding or anything, you're gonna progress to a certain point. There are gonna be things that come up that don't allow you to do the work you need to do, recover whatever the case may be, that you don't make the changes you need to, and you may show up looking the same. You may show up looking worse. Happens to all these top guys, right? And they're the best genetics and have all the fucking drugs. It happens to them. Why do these fucking people, the egos are so big about, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that. I'm like, you guys have no fucking clue what it really takes. This is also the only sport that I've ever seen that as you do it longer, it gets harder. I remember playing different sports in school. The more you practice, the more your technique got better, the easier it was for you to do those things. In bodybuilding, the better you get, the harder it is. The next level you go up, it gets harder. By the time you get to a pro, it's not easier. It's as hard as it's ever fucking been. When you get to the Olympia level, I've trained with Kevin Levrone. I've trained with Jay Cutler. It gets even harder then. So this is the only thing that you're not anticipating that, you think you have it down. And another bitch is, when you get to that point, your body could be reacting totally different to shit that it did the year before. So you have no idea what the fucking outcome is going to be that following year. You know, like I would word it like this now, knowing what I know. I'd be like, yeah, well, here's the deal, man. You know, I fucking fucked up, man. I didn't have as much muscle as I thought I did. When I dieted down, I was fucking stringy. Now I got to add mass, and I'm just going to do my best to try to add that mass. You know, I got 10 months. I'm going to do my best to see what we can do, and hopefully I can bring a better package, right? That's realistic. That's not the ego-driven shit. That's not people trying to convince, that's not the person trying to convince other people that they don't really suck and they're really a lot better, and the next time they come out, they're going to show how much better they are, right? If you know how good you are, you don't have to tell people how good you are or remind them or trick them or persuade them into how good you are. They know already. You know, there's been times where top bodybuilders came in off and they didn't have to say anything. They like Big Ramy. Big Ramy said, I feel like I let you guys down. I'm sorry. There's not these excuses like, oh, I ate fucking chicken instead of egg whites and it completely blew my physique. Oh, I dieted off fucking, I love that one. I dieted off muscle on my legs. You diet? How the fuck did your body cannibalize while I was doing cardio? Were you training with weights too? Were you doing legs? So by doing legs and squatting and stuff, that should have gotten enough stimulus to get your body to maintain that muscle. If it wasn't, you fucked up your diet, your body started to cannibalize muscle tissue, and it took it off evenly off your body, but your legs had a lot more fat on them. So when you were bulked out or even semi-lean, you looked like you had bigger legs. That fat came off, and then you cannibalized the muscle. So it looks like you lost double the muscle on your lower body. You really didn't. You lost muscle overall. It's just like you can't put on muscle only on your legs. I've seen people go, I'm not going to train my upper body, only train my legs. And their upper body still gets bigger. Why? Because they don't even realize when they're squatting, when they're leg pressing, when they're leg curling, everything, they're fucking contracting those muscles, doing isometric contractions. So their whole body is getting worked, and hormonally, when those fucking hormones kick in, the body does technically grow as a unit. People talk about it all the time, like, oh, I'm not going to do this, I'm not going to train that. When they don't train it, it does atrophy a little bit, but you're still getting stimulus to the point when you start training that body part again, it fucking grows beyond what you were doing to try to bring up the other body part. So it's always like this, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that, I'm going to do this. And, you know, I fell into that trap before. You know, I fell into the trap of I'm gonna. And then I realized it wasn't for me I was saying it. It's for everybody around me. I was telling them what I was going to do and I was going to show up. And, you know, I even said in one video, like, I'm going to show up and scare everybody. Scare everybody who? I fucking sucked at that show. That was probably one of my worst showings ever. And I was talking so much shit because I thought I had more muscle than I did. The drugs were fake that I had. But anyways, I really honestly thought like some kind of magic was going to happen in the last month before the show, that my physique was going to be so fucking groundbreaking. People go, what the fuck? Realistically, that didn't happen. Realistically, the only thing that really happened where people really opened their eyes and said, wow, you're a lot better this year than last year, is when I stopped listening to the scale and fucking around with that scale, my body weight, and just dieted down to get lean and said, fuck the scale. Like, I don't care what weight class I come in. I don't care if a heavyweight, super heavyweight, doesn't matter. And I was a light heavyweight. At the bottom end of the light heavyweight, it's about 180 pounds. And that was the most conditioned I was. I had to get rid of, oh, I'm getting on the scale to show everybody how fucking big I am. You know, I'm getting on the scale to show 200 pounds, so when someone asks me, I can tell them I'm 200 pounds. What were you last year when you competed? 195. I'm already 200. I'm ahead of the game. Like, it becomes this game of trying to convince others about what you're going to do and how much you're progressing, rather than focusing on yourself and actually getting the job done. And part of the problem is, many of us don't have the genetics of the pros. We don't make those big jumps in muscle. We don't make those huge gains in legs. We don't make those huge gains in arms. That's why Synthol exists. If we could, Synthol wouldn't exist. But the bottom line is, we're always talking about, I'm gonna. And I'm like, man, I'm watching these people and they fucking fail over and over and over and over again. And then you see these guys like, you know, I mean, we'll put Jay Cutler or whatever. We'll just use Jay. I always use Jay as a fucking example. But Jay would go in the gym and he'd pose and he'd do stuff and he'd look at himself and he'd be like, yeah, I got 15 more pounds to go, man. He would always find something negative to say about his physique, about what he could improve, and not just about how good he's doing, how good he's going to be. He was realistic with, I need to come down 15 pounds, and then we'll see when I get there what that looks like. It wasn't like, yeah, I'm fucking shredded, I'm going to come in at fucking 285. Like, he wasn't picking body weights. He wasn't saying this body part's going to improve. He would systematically look at his physique and break it down what he's looking at and say, this needs to improve, that needs to improve. All right, well, I'm going to try to do that in the off season. I got to drop 15 pounds, see how I look then, and see if I got to go more. You know what I mean? Like, it was never an ego thing with Jay when he talked about his physique, and that's the thing about this sport. It breeds fucking egos like crazy. It feeds egos like a fucking potato chip bag to a fat kid. That's just how it is. It attracts people that are insecure, that have egos. It is a huge, huge plus when you find someone that doesn't have an ego and they're into this sport. When they're very, very humble themselves and they're very down to earth, and they're very interested in just progressing themselves and being the best they can be today. Not about, oh, in the future, because you don't know. Like that guy talking about his legs, oh, I'm going to be better, I'm going to be better. He could be out there fucking training his ass off, and then he fucks up his diet a little bit, and guess what? He comes in exactly the same, legs look exactly the same, like, and by him saying, well, I dieted a lot of mass off, dude, there's a lot of fat back on your legs now. Like, what the fuck? I'm looking at it going, the delusion, the bodybuilding delusion. And that's what it is. The bodybuilding delusion is many people's egos have them seeing themselves better than they really are. And many of the guys that are great don't see themselves as good at all. It's like it's the opposite. It's like fucking opposite day in bodybuilding all the time. I remember I definitely, in my first show, I was like, man, I fucking suck. Like, I'm terrible. I don't even know why I'm doing this, but I love it. It's so much fun. This is great. You know what I mean? I'm on fucking stage. I'm flexing. People are fucking cheering for me. I hold my own destiny in my own hands. It's not a team sport, which means I got to do the training. I got to do the dieting. This is fantastic. I love it, right? And then the next show I did, I came in about 10 pounds heavier. I didn't try to. I was just training. My body was just responding. And when I stepped on stage, I did a little bit better, right? I got second place instead of dead last. And I said, okay, well, you know, next year I'm going to be 19. It's the last year I'm a teenager. Let's see what I can do there. And then I started like, oh, I hit 200 pounds, right? So now I'm 200 pounds at 19 years old. And I'm like, yeah, I'm going to diet down to like fucking, 190. And I'll be fucking huge on stage. I'm going to be just as big as those guys. When I was 17, they were 19. I'm going to be like them. Yeah, I got on stage at about 173 pounds and I still wasn't in good shape. And that really was an eye-opener. It fucking blew my doors off. I was like, fuck, what is going on? And I actually thought about giving up bodybuilding and going to powerlifting because I was like, maybe I just can't do that fucking diet like that. Maybe my body just, realistically, I wasn't doing it right. But I went through all these like trials and tribulations as to whether or not I wanted to continue. And then right around when I was 20, I decided I was going to go on steroids. Well, the steroids is when the ego really fucking happened because I went from fucking 173 pounds to 230 pounds in 10 weeks. Now my ego was fucking, it was blown the fuck up. My head was so big I did look like Charlie Brown. I looked like a fucking lollipop, little stick with a fucking giant head on it. That's the way I looked. And because I gained that weight, it was like, well, I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that. I started calling shots like fucking Babe Ruth. I'm going to hit it over there. And that's not how it worked out. Every time it would fall short because you don't know how your body's going to respond. Like you're going at this guy with the legs, he's going into uncharted territories. He's never built legs any bigger than they are today. So for him saying like next year I'm going to be bigger and better, that may not, I know guys that have been the fucking exact same year after year after year after year. That's part of their genetics. They fucking can't do it. No matter what drugs they take, no matter what they do, they never fucking break 160 pounds and they never get big. Other guys do a couple shots of steroids and grow like fucking weeds. But like when you're going into uncharted territories, calling shots like that, it doesn't just make you look like an asshole when you don't produce, but it really does. It does give you the sense of like accomplishment before it happens, right? Because if you're telling people I'm going to be on stage at 200 pounds, you're acting like you're only 210 right now and you're fat as fuck. You acting like you're going to be on stage at 210. You act like you already did it. You act like you're a heavyweight competitor who's fucking smoking everybody in the classes and you're walking around with confidence, cocky as fuck. And you're telling people still every day, yeah, I'm going to be on stage about 210 this year. You'll see fucking all that. Like your ego is acting like it already fucking happened. Realistically, there's no way that can happen. You know, you're 145 pounds all day long. So you get on stage, you look like shit, which is exactly what happened in one of my fucking shows. I walked in there at like 233 or something like that. Super heavyweight. I went from fucking light heavyweight to super heavyweight in like 4 months. Because I got fatter. I didn't come in lean enough, right? And when I was a light heavyweight, or when I was a heavyweight. So I was light heavyweight at the first one, heavyweight at the second one. So light heavy was, I think it was 196 pounds, which was interesting because I didn't understand that the diuretics can flatten you out and make you look shit. So I looked shitty. I went in at 199, which was a heavyweight. So I came in heavier and looked tighter and better and got second in that one. So I got like sixth in one, second in the other one. 4 months later, I'm on stage at 232. And I remember in my warm-ups, everybody's like, whoa, dude, Jerry gained so much fucking size. I'd been covered up the whole time. Nobody'd seen what I looked like. Training in the gym, nothing. I just looked big as fuck. Traps, everything was popping out. And they're like, oh, yeah. And if I remember my friend telling my other buddy, he was like, yeah, man, look, Jerry's fucking like over 230 on stage now, dude. Like, he's going to go pro. Like, this was the conversation. My head's going like this. I got on stage fat. I still get second and qualify for national because everybody else was not in shape either. Only one dude was in shape. And then I come off stage and my buddy Ron, I'll never forget this day. Ron, if you see this, thank you because you've been my voice of reason many times. We've actually been in fights together, like not fighting each other, but in fights, like fist fights and shit and stuff at the club. But he's always been a good friend to me. Ron looked me in the face, and he's never one to mince words, and he looked at me and said, don't ever, and he was upset. He was visibly upset. Don't ever do that again. You're better than that. And I was like, and I couldn't argue. I was like, no, man, fuck. That same conversation happened with me at 19 with my friend Eddie DePina. And Eddie, if you see this, I love you, man. I love you for everything you've done for me throughout the years. And, you know, you've been a huge inspiration for me through my whole life since I was 17. And at that show when I was 19, I was not in shape. Eddie was asked to judge that show. So we're at the show before I go on stage, and he said, well, I'm judging today. And he looks at me and goes, how you looking? I said, oh, I'm decent. That's what I said. I didn't really know what the fuck was going on. So he poked me in the stomach, and he was like, okay. And when he came off stage and he came out front, he gave me almost the same exact thing as Ron did. He said, listen, man, you're not in shape. You're fat. Dude, don't do that again. Like, don't, make sure you're in shape. And he was disappointed. So I had two people that disappointed me because my ego was so out of fucking control that I was calling shots like I'd already hit the fucking home runs. Meanwhile, I got struck out and hit in the head with a ball. I got fucking beamed and wound up fucking taking first base. I didn't even take first. I got beamed and sent to the hospital. I didn't even take first base. But, yeah, I mean, I watch these guys and I see the egos, and it's hard to tell them about this because they don't want to hear it because the ego won't allow it to go through their fucking skull and listen. But it's something I can pass along to you guys that, every day is a building block, a brick in the wall that you're building. And that wall is your ultimate physique. Every day you're responsible to go out, do what you're doing. It doesn't matter if the show is 6 months away. It doesn't matter if it's 2 weeks away. It doesn't matter if it's 2 days away. Today is what it's about. And you look in the mirror and you fucking track your progress and stuff, and you go, this is where I'm at. This is where I'd like to be. So I'm going to do my best to get to this point because that's where I feel like I'll be the best that I can be. And then every day you take that one day and you just chip away at it. And you don't worry about fucking tomorrow, 3 days from now, 8 days from now. Today. You don't worry about that scale. Oh my God, it's going down. People are going to freak out. You don't worry about other people. You don't worry about the future. Every day, one day. And all of a sudden, when you finally get to that last day, if you've kept your ego in check, and you've done your work day in and day out, when you step on that stage, that finished product is something that words can't describe how it feels. You know what I mean? Especially when you have supporters there that are supporting you, screaming your name, clapping, yelling your number, fucking, like singing the song that you fucking picked for your routine and stuff, stamping their feet and shit. I had one competitor that I was training. His family actually brought signs, and they had like Christmas lights around with a battery pack on it. And some of them had signs with a fucking face on it, like the person's face. They hold them up. It was nothing's a better feeling than when you have that support and you did your best and you look your best, like you produced the physique that you wanted to. The worst feeling in the world is if you pull some shit like I did when I was younger, and these other people are doing, and those people are there to see it. It's a hard pill to swallow. It does not feel good. It's not what the sport is about. It's not what you're about. It's not what they're about. It's a mistake. It's a mistake made when your ego gets out of control and you don't keep that in check. So guys, be aware. The ego is a great thing to have because it protects you, and it should be there when it's needed. But it shouldn't be in play all the fucking time. And it definitely should not be in play. Ego should not be in play when you're getting ready for a show, because it will blind you fucking just like a blindfold. You'll be bird box all over the fucking place. You will have no clue what the fuck you really look like till you see a picture later on. You're gonna go, oh, and then you start rationalizing. Oh, my hamstrings look pretty good. Yeah, but everything else is like shit. Your fucking trunks are digging, and you got muffin top. Hamstrings look good. Who gives a fuck? You know what I mean? Like, that's not what it's about. But who am I to judge? You know what I mean? Well, I'm an NPC judge. That's make me a judge. Anyways, BioStrengthTraining@gmail.com. Leave comments down below, but don't fight. BioStrength.com is a blog. It's Don't Let Your Ego Get Out of Check Bicep, and we are out.